Godzilla, King of the Monsters is directed and co-written by Michael Dougherty. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Could be wrong, but it is a sequel to the 2014 version of Godzilla, and the film stars Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Bradley Whitford, Sally Hawkins, and Ken Watanabe. Those are the only names that I recognize. Every other actor's names are brand new to me. But anyway, in this film, it follows eco-terrorists who release King Ghidorah, who awakens other monsters known as Titans across the world, forcing Godzilla and Mothra to surface and engage Ghidorah and Rodan in a decisive battle. So the sequel to the 2014 Godzilla was greenlighted during the opening weekend of the first Godzilla film, with Gareth Edwards expected to return to direct a trilogy. However, in May 2016, Edwards left the project, and in October of that year, Dougherty and Shields were hired to rewrite the script. But yeah, I was pretty sad that Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen and Bryan Cranston, they did not return for the sequel. Um, except maybe a few, one or two actors, maybe such as Ken Watanabe. Um, but I felt like in the first movie, they, with the whole, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, Bryan Cranston, they already told the story, and now in this film they're telling another story. So I'm okay with that, but it is unfortunate. But yeah, so I love how this movie is a love letter to Godzilla fans. Unlike the 1998 remake of the 1955 film, this movie stays true and respectful to the source material it is based off and contains all the charms, charisma, and spirit that Godzilla movies have been known for. It also contains numerous neat Easter eggs and references to the lore of Toho's Godzilla franchise. Like such examples include the titular monsters in the movies utilize a lot of their iconic wars from the older Toho films. King Ghidorah even emits his 1991 Incarnations War in Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. The story feels very similar to the storyline in Destroy All Monsters from 1968. The monsters sometimes being referred to by their nicknames in the older films, like Godzilla being called Gajira, Mothra being called Mazua, and the list, goes on. But yeah, Rodan's volcanic home being redesigned as Outpost 56 being a clever reference to the release date um, of his own movie. And well, Rodan from 1956, or Mothra's home being redesigned as Outpost 61, a reference to the original film Mothra from 1961. The Oxygen Destroyer from the 1954 original film playing a decent role in this. Godzilla getting lava-esque skin and producing omnidirectional nuclear pulses near the end of the movie is a nod to Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Destroyer. But anyway, those are like a handful of examples of like neat Easter eggs and references to Toho's Godzilla franchise. So it's pretty neat, and a lot of fans are going to really enjoy all those Easter eggs and references. Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah, three iconic kaiju, make a return after a very long absence, and this film is packed with amazing, absolutely incredible CGI for the kaiju, with the well done redesigns for Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah that fit well within this monsterverse. Godzilla's design in particular has some improvements, as it looks similar to his 2014 design but adds some elements from the Toho version. The backgrounds are also gorgeous to look at and are a great treat for the eye as to how colorful they are. The monsters, including Godzilla, have far more screen time in this film compared to the other films that focuses more on the human characters. And this movie has more action than its predecessor. There are some well done acting with Ken Watanabe and David. I don't. Anyway, and Sally Hawkins reprising their roles um, from previous MonsterVerse films. But yeah, there are some awesome fight sequences with the monsters, as well as having many great action and chase sequences throughout. Rodan's chase scene being one of the best examples. The King Ghidorah's being an ancient alien seeking to transform the earth to his own liking is interesting and does a good job at showing that not all monsters are dumb. His iconic three individual heads even have their own personalities, which acts out like the Three Stooges in a way. Mark Russell has a tragic backstory where he lost his son Andrew in the events of the previous film. Mothra's death scene is very touching, even though it can be too early. There are a few of the characters get some decent character development, unlike the first film. Um, but yeah, which was an issue that I had. Rodan gets an epic and very tense city destroying sequence. There are some new kaiju in the forms of Skila, Behemoth, and so on. Like the first film, there's a good amount of suspense and dread. King Ghidorah was suitably terrifying and a nice return to his world destroying sadistic roots. This film retains the first film's dark tone and rather well executed while being inconsistent. Um, there are some awesomely bombastic and very well done, composed soundtrack by Bear McCreary being a beautiful, terrifying, and very loud, except in a good way as it fits, for a very, this big, ginormous monster movie. The music track with some themes, scores from the kaiju films, and, a cover of the Blue Oyster Cult song named after and inspired by the franchise. The humans in this film are actually better and get some more development in this film than the previous one. One exciting scene that promises a sequel, and which it later did, the ancient cave paintings of Godzilla and Kong in battle are shown. This film has some amazing cinematography, just like the previous entries in the MonsterVerse film, in the MonsterVerse universe, franchise, whatever. Great and passionate directing from Michael Dougherty, who is an avid fan of Godzilla and has done the franchise justice. It pays tribute to a lot of people who passed away before this movie came out. Um, but yeah, other than that, diving into the negatives, I would say the character of Emma Russell is a very unlikable character as she constantly does bad things. She's responsible for endangering her own daughter Madison and causing many deaths after awakening Ghidorah and Rodan. However, then again, she has been manipulated by Alan Jonah. Ford Brody, the main antagonist, the main protagonist of the previous film. Like I said, it was played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Isn't in this film, nor is he mentioned at all, which is sad. After watching this film, I did miss the cast of the first film, Bryan Cranston, Elizabeth Olsen, and but this is a not bad welcome to this new cast of actors. This film does suffer from a very weak pacing, and the character of Alan Jonah didn't get his comeuppance, but at least he's set up in and the after credit scenes. Like other monster movies, the dialogue can be cheesy at times, and the CGI, although it's brilliant for the most part, sometimes it can falter. It can falter throughout in some parts of the movies, and it has some like clunky and chopping movements. Most notably, the monsters, albeit rarely, having random and sudden bursts of speed. It just feels really weird. But anyway, But anyway, the flashing lights are almost everywhere when King Ghidorah appears, meaning some viewers can get epileptic while seeing this film, which I heard. I read it an article about that, and I was really uh, surprised by that. But so just giving you a little bit warning, seizure warning, for those who are epileptic, just putting that out there. But anyway, guys, that's all I have to say for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking your time to listening to my review, my thoughts. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because when you subscribe, you'll be helping my channel, and I'm thankful for that. I appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks.